Good evening. Demon Phil, Comics and More, New Jersey here with another interview tonight. And tonight is going to be one that I've actually been looking forward to as well. I look forward to most all of mine anyway. We're not going to lie about that. But this one has a little more meaning to it. And we'll get into that whenever I bring my guest out here. But right now, we're going to go ahead and wait just a little bit, give it a minute or two here to go ahead and get some more people on board. If you are on here, if you will go ahead and let me know that you can hear me, see me. Sorry about your luck, but you're going to have to see me a little bit on here. And then I will know that everything's okay with the audio and the video. And then as usual, if you will go ahead and share this out and let everyone else know so we can get more people in here, please, and let me know that you have shared that as well. Hope everyone is having a great evening, being safe out there. Hey, Doug, what's happening, buddy? Appreciate you being here. If you don't mind, please share this out. Let other people know that we're in here. We'll be getting started in just a minute or so. Much appreciated, Doug. Got a couple more people that have trickled in here. I think they're not commenting just yet because they're probably in the process of sharing. I'm hoping. That's usually what happens in here. Hope you all have had a great day today and enjoyed whatever you were doing. There's a lot of things going on online. Actually, too many for me to keep up with completely, so I got to go back and kind of catch up on things before the end of the evening, which is always fun to do. But you know, idle hands and myself don't do very well together, so it's very good to have those things to take care of. So we got a few more people in here. Actually, I think I'm about ready to go ahead and get this thing started. All right. Demon Phil, Comics and More, New Jersey. We are here tonight. I'm going to be able to interview Rob Andersin. If you don't know who he is, you haven't been paying that much attention. And I'm not going to say that in a negative way. He's put a lot of things out there in a very good way. So we're going to talk to him a little bit. We're definitely going to go over his book, his Kickstarter that he's got going, and then kind of delve into the mind a little bit. But I will warn you ahead of time, this is the demon right here, and I'm fixing to bring out the devil. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
What is going on?
What's going on, Rob? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm about to actually share it out. I didn't realize it was on the Comics and More page. I'm like, where is it? And I found it down.
Well, I got to rep the brand a little bit.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And you guys are here in the background sounds. It's like being at a con. One child
exactly
sounds like you're at a Comic-Con. You're welcome, guys.
Robert is in here. Actually, Robert is my boss from work before all this happened. So he's in here watching, and he's been paying attention to a lot of things I've been doing. Robert, thank you for being here, and please share this out. And then I've got Larry is in here and yells out Andersin. So Larry Patrick Higgins.
What's going on, everybody? How's everyone doing tonight?
All right, let me go ahead and take this off right now so you can see who I've got on here. And I was going to go ahead and bring up as well because I wanted to know how you wanted to have that brought up, but you've got the Comics Advocate, so it is no longer the other name that was on there. We have officially changed it to the Comics Advocate, and I like the way that you're doing that. We've explained the reasons in private, and I'm sure that'll be coming out a lot more as we go along throughout things as well. So first off, we'll go ahead and jump into this, and for those of you who don't know who this is, Rob, if you'll go ahead and say who you are, where we can find you, what you do.
Well, I'm a comics advocate, and what that means is that I advocate for comic books because I love them, and I advocate for the creators behind the comic books, and I do that with a great site called Comic Book Advocates, and it's all about giving creators the spotlight they deserve. There are so many other sites that say they're about comic books, but they're just about Marvel and DC. We all needed a place that loved all comics, including the ones made by independent creators and underground creators alike. We also have a special site that we're breaking just for underground comics because sometimes underground comics have a rating issue and people are afraid to mix them in with regular independent creator books. So we're going to take care of you. Don't worry, underground people. I understand. Trust me, I make a book about fetish. As a matter of fact, I'm known as the underground comics devil, and that's comics with an X. And you can find my books about fetish, monsters, and more at writtensinscomics.com. And you can find anything about the devil and keep up with my tales at mrandersin.com.
And there you go. And all of this information will be attached to here whenever we're done as well. So you don't have to be taking notes while we're going along. But that's just kind of giving you in a nutshell who he is and where you can find him and now what he's doing. Now, he's bringing up a few points on here, and I've got a few things I want to go over. And number one, I want to go ahead and point this out right now. Rob, do I work for you?
I don't think so. I mean, people accuse me of owning the entire internet at times, so I don't think directly. Maybe as a side thing, and I haven't been made aware yet.
And the reason I point that out is because this that I'm about to do on here, I actually did a review on the book that he's got on Kickstarter as well, which we'll be getting into. He was gracious enough to go ahead and give me a copy of it before it's even available. But the information needed to come out, and we'll be getting into that. I promise you. I love the tease factor on here, so I'm just going to, drag you along a little bit longer on this. So, yes, Lewis, Phil Locklear, and he is no longer known as that. He is the comics advocate, so we got to start saying that. It's throwing me off a little bit too. And he said, "What a pair! I'm afraid." Oh yeah, be very afraid. So you touched on the comics advocate. I will say that I have actually been on your show a few times, done a few things on there. I have been in the audience many times as, just a guest in there in the audience, just taking part of the panels and whatnot. You've done a lot, and you've done a lot since all of this has happened with the current situations and all. But you've done more panels and more interviews and everything. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing to kind of get the word out and get people out there in front through your channel on that.
No, I mean, it just came down to this idea. It all started with GarageCon, and it was, hey, what do we do? Emerald City just got canceled, and it looks like everything's about to go south. What can we do to keep people calm and show them that comic books aren't going away? Because everyone was afraid that, oh, well, without cons, what'll happen? And I was like, well, we just give them what they want. We talk about comic books. I know people are tight on money. Let's not make it about selling things. Let's make it about educating people. Let's entertain them. Because realistically, as comic book creators, we are entertainers. That's what we do. That's what our comic books are meant to do. If your book's not meant to entertain someone, then you're writing a biographical, book or stereo instructions. Otherwise, we are entertainers. So we amped up our shows. We took we took what we did a panel every so often, or the panels we would do, and we started doing them at 4 p.m. every day. Now, this is important. The reason we do it every day at 4 p.m. is it gives gives people somewhere to be. And that's so important right now, even for me, knowing that I have to do this at 4 p.m. every day, it gives me something to work towards. We need that. We just need that kind of structure. And I know a lot of people are like, you know what, your show is really helping me just because I know it's going to be on. And there's something stable in my life. Because right now, things aren't that stable anymore, are they? And they're downright scary at times if we start losing track of time and start not knowing what day it is. But now people know what day it is because I tell them what day it is. We're doing all these programs. Brian K. Morris, part of our advocating network, he's on every day at 10 a.m. That's something I'm sharing. We're talking about it, And you got Indy Volt, who's been doing more shows as well. So it's not just me. It's a lot of creators have come up and been like, well, guess what? Marvel put their pencils down. DC didn't. DC's still creating. Credit to them. But independent creators never stopped. Underground creators didn't even take a pause. We have been working through this. And yeah, for some of us, I have friends who are facing possible bankruptcy now. I have friends suffering under this because how do you prove what you would have made this year? You know what I mean? Like they don't give unemployment to what is considered contractors and independent. I forgot what they call it. There's contractors,
self-employed. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't always give workman's comp. What is that big thing everyone's filing for right now?
Stimulus?
Unemployment. Not everyone's going to get an unemployment check who's a creator. So they need something to do right now, and they need something to be positive. And if we can entertain all of you, that might mean that you come back and support us later. And I've told everyone that's the ultimate goal, is keep them entertained. So when this is over, they remember you as the person who was sound-minded, calm, and you were there to support everyone and to help people understand that this is temporary and it will end.
And that's great that you're doing that with the show and everything. I'm going to go a step further because you've actually been doing every single day since quarantine has started on there. You've had quarantine day, and I think we're on 51. 51. I try to keep up. But I think it's quarantine day 51, but he does it's like just a little blurb that he does on there, but it's usually only like 10 minutes or so. It's basically just giving hope is what I'd like to bring up on there, because you're kind of giving, this is the situation that's going on. but this is the hope that we get, to some form of normal later on. It may not be the exact same, but it's going to be something that's actually better than what we're doing in the current situation. So I do appreciate you doing that. And if you want to go ahead and just kind of step on that a little bit and bring that up.
Absolutely. And I'm just about done sharing it to every place I could share it. So hopefully we get a good crowd. So basically the idea was this. I found out, and it turns out it's not right, by the way. So I do know that because some people have commented. But 2 years ago, I started this thing at Thanksgiving because I heard that suicide rates were exceptionally high during the holidays. They are higher than they should be, don't get me wrong. But the highest time of suicide is actually between February and March. So this year during February and March, I had re-begun what was just me checking in with everyone and every day. And I called it You're Not Alone. I didn't do it religiously. I tried to do it when I could remember, usually when I took my sister to work or I got back from the gym, because we used to be able to go to the thing called the gym. So I would go and on my way back, I'd just shout out to people, because having that voice there and being able to talk to people daily, it made people feel like, hey, there's someone there at the end of my day. No matter how bad my day is, there's someone there. And I did this during the holidays, from Thanksgiving all the way till Little Christmas, which I know because we celebrated in my family, because I'm Ukrainian. I'm actually first generation on my mom's side, so she's right off the boat. So they did old school calendar, so we actually celebrated Little Christmas. And so January 7th, I ended it. And I remember one of the most touching stories I ever had with someone, and I'm, of course, not going to mention who they are. And I'm not going to tell you the details of this, but they reached out to me and basically said, because of you, I didn't do something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had someone every day that I knew was just going to be there, just you being there and being someone saying that it'll pass, that you're not always going to be alone, that things will get better. Just keep going. And he's like, and it did keep going. And I can't tell you the rest of it because it might even give a little bit away about him, but I'm so happy to say he's doing a lot better right now. And he's actually getting to fulfill some of his dreams. And to know that I can inspire that with not one, but a few people who gave me those messages, let alone the people who aren't messaging me, but are inspired by it. Because I've seen people say, and like you said, no, you never said it to me until this, I think today, I really like that show. You've commented on it, but you've never said it. But I know it's reaching you because you remember to think about it and talk about it. So I know it's working. And that's the whole thing. I have anxiety. I get nervous, and talking to you guys makes me feel better because I know you're going to be there to listen to me. And even today, funny, on the ride back, you see the live up there? We can't see any numbers. Or I don't know. Do you see that on your end where it says?
I see it. I see it on the moderator thing. I can actually see on mine with the numbers.
Yeah. And the StreamYard, no, I see like just live. It doesn't tell me how many people are watching. That's what my that video shows me. So I'm like, I think people are watching, and then people will be like, yeah, we're here, Rob. We're here. So sometimes I've literally stared into a camera without anyone commenting, and I'm like, I really don't know if I'm alone in this. And suddenly there'll be a clap. There'll be a smiley face. Or I love the new care emoji. I know some people have made jokes about it, but honestly, I love the new care emoji because it shows that you care about it. It's the right thing. Because how many times did someone say, well, today I got stabbed? And they rushed me to the emergency room. And it's horrible, but I'm going to be okay. I just wanted everyone to know. So now you have the choice of the like button, the laugh button, the angry button, or the cry button. And in that moment, you just want to give them a hug. And or her a hug because they've had a bad day. That gives a virtual hug. And right now, it's the one thing we're not allowed to do. So I love it. I mean, we can tear down Facebook. Trust me, I got a long list we can go over right now of what's going wrong with Facebook. But that's one thing they did really well.
Absolutely. I completely agree on that. And yes, it is. It's great that you're actually doing that and you do it on a regular basis because, like you said, it gives people something to look forward to. Now, I'm going to shift gears a little bit on this one because I've got a couple other questions I want to ask before we get directly into the whole reason we're here is for the Kickstarter. So everyone that's watching this, please pay attention, see what's going on with this because I'm leading up to a huge point on here and it's actually a very real point that we're going to get to. So just bear with me on this, but I got some other questions we want to go through to get there. So you started out, I mean, you've been doing I believe it's the Barbara Unleashed, is it not? Is the name of the book? It
is Barbara Unleashed.
Okay, which I have not gotten a copy. I'm going to have to get with you on that one because I'm probably going to have to end up reviewing that. We'll just throw that in your ear for now.
You're more than welcome.
Between you and me, no one else. We'll just leave it out there. Okay, so you switched gears. I mean, you went from Barbara Unleashed to a children's book. Can you explain to us why that is? Why would you do that?
Because I'm a writer and I write what I want to write, and I there's no other way to put that. I was sitting down one day, and I wrote the Barbara Unleashed at the time, and then I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the art to be done. I want to create something else. The second book I created was about monsters, but here's the twist. I made monsters human beings and gave them genetic disorders, and it was Hollywood who were the real monsters. So I even took the monsters and made them my own. And the next thing I did is I was like, well, I want to make a kids-friendly title. And this one show had literally messaged me and said, hey, you're local. We want you to be part of this. We're a little worried about your only books at the time. My only book I was really going to have was going to be the original Barbara Unleashed #1. And they were like, that's a lot. And it's one book. That's how we start as creators, one book. They're like, is it possible? And the event was like in the fall, and we're in the spring. They're like, is there any way that you can do something a little more family friendly? And a lot of creators would kind of be like, oh, I don't know. How could I do that? Not me. I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to. Let's do this. So I went to Facebook I reached out and I said, I want to make a kid's book. I have no money for it. All my money is tied up in other things. Is there an artist out there that wants to work with me, make something great for kids, and have fun doing it? And we'll do a Kickstarter, and we'll split the amount of books right down the center after we deliver on everything. So I wound up getting Dave Brown, who you can actually see on the back of the book right here, because this is the original release. It's a magazine side. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a magazine side. Dave Brown jumps on and says, yeah, let's do it. I wrote up the script in about an hour. I got him the script in an hour. I got him the contract at the same time in an hour. And he read it, and he's like, yeah, let's do this. We were done in 13, 14 days. He banged it out. He got it all done in like 2 weeks. He was excited about it. And I go to Chuck, and I'm like, Chuck, I need this edited. He had just done Monsters. And I was like, how much is your page rate? Chuck told me what his page rate is. I was like, cool. Sent him the money, and I was like, edit this. And I sent it to him. And at this point, I had already lettered it. And he was like, in the future, you really shouldn't letter something before, someone actually edits it. I was like, and you can see, and this is the original release. The lettering isn't that hard. You know what I mean? Because it's a narrative piece, so someone's narrating the whole story. So it wasn't hard to re-letter. And I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But this book leads up into what we're going to talk about. It's the first appearance of CatDad and Supermom. It was a great book. It was supposed to go on to launch something called Kids of Cons, where all comic book creators were going to talk about their children. We were going to do a giant coloring book. And believe it or not, I had New York Comic Con on the hook to be the Comic Con that we were going to showcase in the book. That all fell apart, as things do happen. Sometimes it just happens. No matter what you do, things do fall apart. And that did fall apart. So I was left with this kid's book. I love the kid's book, Jax the Andersin. The funny thing about this is I had to actually go back and change the book around. First off, Andersin became bad because libraries were afraid of the name Andersin. And then at the bottom, if you notice, it says what makes a superhero. So I don't know how many people know who are watching this, but believe it or not, you cannot say superhero anymore. It's owned by Marvel and DC now. Did you know that? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So you're not supposed to say superhero, and you should definitely not have it on your cover. So when I was redoing it, the thing I did is I made a new word, because I was like, I'm not going to take this laying down. So I made the word superhero. So now my thing is SUPEREDHERO, and I was like, haha, I win. I'm a writer. I made a brand new word. So that was my clever for that week. But that's how I wound up making it. And so far, I think people have enjoyed it immensely, because I've had some great feedback even on the original one. Because in the original one, What Makes a Superhero, Jax finds out that his parents are his superheroes because they're the ones always taking care of him. So it's a good message. It was written for a much younger crowd. Jax, at this point in the book, you can see he's a lot younger. He's a little kid, and I wrote it. This is back in believe it or not, this release was we kickstarted it all the way back in 2017 now, and you can see he was a lot smaller. It's not the big 5-year-old I have now. So when we did CatDad and Supermom, because this was 2017. We only did CatDad last year, so 2 years later, I finally took out the characters. And those were throwaway characters back in the day. I never intended anything. That was something I just created. Mm-hmm. But I'm a writer. I never forget what I create. And later on, I'll tell you how we came up with the villain, and you'll laugh your cheeks off, because it's actually a really funny story. Because it was about one of my videos and me kind of taunting people. So, but that's how I wound up getting to be a kids writer, just because I always wanted to be. Because comics have done so much for my life. I love comics. I wouldn't have learned to read, not even kidding, without comic books. And comic books gave me an escape that I needed growing up.
And that's great. That really is. And you've talked about the CatDad and Supermom, and talking about this is basically their first appearance. So if you're if you're collecting books based on first appearance type things, then that's your book you want to get right there. That's a key issue right there. Right now, I have got the Kickstarter listed on the screen for everybody to see here. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the Kickstarter, because this is the whole reason that I wanted to go ahead and get the group here tonight, get you on here tonight, and express this, because this book needs to be in every home. I cannot stress that enough, and we're going to explain why here very shortly. Now, if you'll go ahead and tell us, kind of give us a synopsis of what it's about, without giving it away, of course, and then tell us how many days we have left on the Kickstarter, and that kind of information.
CatDad and Supermom is a tale about a young boy's imagination and how he uses it to overcome things that go wrong in everyday life. In this particular issue, he encounters a scenario with bullying. We always talk about bullying as I got bullied, or I know someone who was a bully. We never talk about it when we see a bully. What do you do then? We're not educating anyone. Even as grown-ups, we don't know exactly what we're supposed to do. I wanted to tackle that. And I wanted to tackle it in a way that made sense to everybody. We went into this, and I hope Phil agrees with this, with the idea that parents had to read this. So I wasn't writing for a kid. I was writing for a family. So I wanted everyone to be invited. I know Seventh Heaven hasn't aged well because of the actor involved, but there was a time where that was considered a very moral show, and it was something the family could do together. Fast forward to 2019, when we were doing this for its beta release, there wasn't a lot of content a family could sit down and enjoy together. We had lost that. We had lost that ability to connect with our children and actually enjoy reading something. I'm a parent right now. I read things to the boy all the time. I think most of it's dribble and drive. Like there's no content in there other than very simplistic moral messages. I wanted to take it to a level where there could be a conversation after the book for the family. They could explain it. I finish a full story. We introduce a lunch lady who gets bullied by Jax's friends. And he has to then determine, when a principal asks him, well, Jax, what just happened? Does Jax become a rat? Does he rat people out? And there's even a moment where you kind of find out that sometimes as parents, we say things in front of our kids that they remember, and they start guiding themselves by something that might have just been a joke. So there's a lot that goes into it that's subtly woven in. It's not a preachy book. It's a very honest taking on it. And you even get to see that at certain points, the heroes themselves aren't really being heroes. And I thought that was an interesting twist on the book, to make the heroes still doing their jobs, but you kind of see, well, wait a minute, does a hero always have to throw punches first? And it's not even a very violent tale. So that's it in a nutshell. And there is a funny story about the elephant, but I'll wait until Phil finishes his question.
So, yes, I read it, of course, because I like to do my research and everything on there. You touched on one huge thing on there, that this is not a child's book. The reason I brought that up at the very beginning is because I wanted to go ahead and get this point out there. This is a family book. I can definitely see where you did that on there. But also, the lesson that's learned on there about bullying, it's not just about kids. It's also about the perception of what is seen from around you. If you look in the mirror on what you're doing, on how you're treating other people, it really does kind of set that way too. It's geared for younger eyes to be reading this, or to be reading to younger people, but the morals alone are enough to go ahead and go to everybody anyway. So it definitely works on both aspects there. As far as I'm concerned, it's an all ages book.
Oh, I call it an all readers book, because I've had adults who sat down and read it and were like, oh my God, this is really good. Like, this is better than actually, there's the actual promotional material. I'm moving it out of the way so I can see what my son's doing. But it's written and drawn, especially the drawing, where He Almost Sinned did an amazing job of bringing this amazing story to life. And I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, look at that art. That art, and of course, it does look like Fairly Odd Parents, because he's a huge fan of Fairly Odd Parents, and I was okay with going with that art style. Yes, that's based on me. If only I was in that good of shape, but he gave me the big orange beard. And for those who have seen Jax in real life, you might notice that he looks very contrastically different than he does it. Like the face features are kind of Jax, but like hair color and eye color were altered on purpose because of the day and age we live in. My family had asked that there be a difference between his fictional whereabouts and his real life look. So he's never going to look exactly like it. And even in the promotional material, I won't use anything for the last 2 years. Everything is from years ago, so he does not look exactly like it. Because the times we live in. And if you want, there's an easier link, CatDad and Supermom. I put it in the chat room. If you want to put that up instead, we used our site, CatDad and Supermom.com. Very easy to get to our Kickstarter.
Well, actually, we have got Robert Gregory went ahead and put that up in here for us as well.
Well, that's who I am. I'm Robert Gregory.
There we go.
I don't know if Phil knows that. That's my my alter ego to write kids' books. Because of the fetish book, I was told early on in my career, you had to separate the two. For a while, I took some people's advice that said I should act like I'm two different people. It just confused the hell out of people and actually made some people feel betrayed that I was trying to hide what I was doing. And I didn't like that. I'm not a hider. I am who I am. And I embraced it. And I said, look, here's the honest truth. I don't want a 10-year-old Googling Rob Andersin and finding the fetish book. They're too young. So they need to, when they Google Robert Gregory, they'll find something different. And they're going to find CatDad and Supermom. And that was the point. It's a deliberate misdirect for younger audiences.
Exactly. Now, how many days do we have left on the Kickstarter? Do we know?
7. 7 days left.
7 days. Okay. So 7 days left on there. So that brings up my next point, and this is huge. Rob, I know you and I share the exact same sentiments on this. We've actually discussed this a lot more here lately in comments, kind of going back and forth, which is really great. But whenever you're supporting something, support does not always mean money. Support does not always mean just digging into your billfold and coming out and paying for something, especially if you don't have it. You can't financially support if you don't have it. However, it costs nothing to go ahead and use that finger to go ahead and hit that share button and get this out there to more people so that you can find people who can financially support this. So the point is, we're looking at something that needs to be in every home. So how do we go about doing that? Not everybody can afford it, of course. We're not going to be able to force it on everybody. I know this. However, there's going to be people who could use this more than others, and they may not be directly involved in the community. So it's a matter of sharing this out to as many people as you possibly can to go ahead and get that group of people, or just a few people who need this in their lives, and they can get a hold of it. So what I would like to say is, Rob, how do you go about presenting that on your end about how important it is to share rather than just to purchase directly?
Sharing, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but we get judged by an algorithm system now on Facebook. And when we try to share and talk about things, it's actually held against us, believe it or not. As contrary as that sounds, because it's a social media platform, they hold things against that. I do a lot to share a lot of other people's stuff. And I do get them a bigger presence. I often get penalized for that because I'm sharing too many things. I see something that's cool, I hit share. So when I go to share something like mine, project, I get less of a following because they're suppressing it, because their imaginary bots, not imaginary, but the code bots, I should say, have determined that I am just sharing anything and I have no taste or whatever it decides about me. So when you share it, you give me a boost and suddenly it becomes more relevant. And they're like, well, wait, he's not just sharing it, but that person's sharing it, and that person's sharing it, and that person's sharing it. So suddenly they get taken more seriously. And that works for anything. Sharing is about reach. And I don't know if you know this, Phil, but on my Kickstarters, any Kickstarter I'm part of the team, I always require when we Kickstart that there be a reward for a single dollar. So if you back me for $1, you get a 2-page preview, the first work me and Rahil did for each other. And we just did this 2-page just to work with each other because we were both bored in the middle of something, in the middle of summer. And he's like, I'd like to work with you. I was like, cool. Do you have anything you want to work on? He's like, I don't know. What do you create? I told him everything. I sent him my whole catalog. He came back to me and he was like, what's this? And I explained to him what it was going to be. And he's like, have you ever thought about going back and working on it? I was like, well, I'd like to bring CatDad and Supermom back up into this thing. I like the idea I came up with. We can't keep going with the series because it's dead in tracks, but I have the rights to continue to write this any way I want because it's my character in the contract. And it always reverted back to me no matter what, because it's about my son. I'll never sell away the rights. No one will ever get full control. And if it's about my son, it has to be high quality and it has to be controlled by me to make sure it's done right. So with that in mind, I want to make sure that everyone who has it gets quality. And that story was quality because it inspired him to come up with what becomes the new CatDad and Supermom look. You can see Supermom getting wrapped around with her by the cape. But that was what it became. It became about that and giving you guys great materials. So for $1, you get a 2-page thing. And here's something I don't see any other campaign doing right now, but I think more should consider it. For $2, you get the PDF. Because I know things are tough right now. I know it. I hear you. I see it. I feel it. I've been stuck inside for 51 days. I actually do listen to all the stay at home. I don't break the rules. Me and Jax don't go more than a mile away from our house for the last 50 days, except to pay rent. That's the one big trip we've had, in the 50 days. We've gone to pay rent twice. So I get it, guys. I'm a mile or two away from my house all the time. So I understand there's no money being made when you're so close to home unless you're playing scratch-offs. So for $2, you get the digital copy. For $3, you get the digital copy and you get Jax the Andersin, the news story involved in that as well. So now you're going to get all the stories, the original Jax the Andersin and now Jax, no Andersin, and it's what makes a superhero. So it's there. It's for you guys to have just for $3, and I did that on purpose. And for $5, we're going to give you all what I just mentioned, some outtake photos and a script. So you can actually see a script that we've written and we've worked off of. So, that's just for the first $5. There are other reward levels because I get it. I understand it. And I'm never going to ask you guys to go broke supporting me. But even $1, you send a message that you believe in something I'm doing. All the people who follow you on Kickstarter get that message. And if you share that directly from Kickstarter to Facebook, they're like, well, this came from Kickstarter. They must have backed it. So if John thinks that this is great, if Cynthia backed it, then I should be backing it too. And that's why sharing is so important. You don't realize it, but you're putting a stamp of approval on something the minute you share it, and you help someone gain a bigger reach, and you're helping them create something that's powerful and moving. And trust me, we never forget those who help us. And I'm always trying to do something for the backers, especially if you've ever backed before. I try to do things. I try to give maybe a sticker for certain people, especially for the higher tiers. We added this book for free for anyone who's backing it for more than 15 or more. I think 20 or more is where it kicks in. But if you want the original book, it's a 24-page book. 20 or 24. I forgot which one, because one is bigger than the other. But either way, you get that for $2. This entire magazine thing now is for $2. And if you back it at 20, it's free. That's it. Any reward level 20 or more, we just slip it in. Sign it, slip it in, it's yours.
And see, that's great because you're talking about, the different level tiers you have on there, and you've got it broken down enough to where even if you can come in and you can share and you can drop $1 into there, at least they're going to be part of what's making this come to fruition, come to life here. Because again, we need to make this come to actual where it needs to be born and actually to put out there to where everybody can have it, because it is ready to print, correct?
Yeah, it's ready to print. One of the reasons that we came to Kickstarter now with this, we did win an award. We wanted to do an award cover, but we also wanted to help our local printer. Our local printer is having trouble. Like most businesses right now, there's not the same influx of things. I don't have the extra income to just print because we don't know when we're going back to a con. Every book I'm getting right now will probably just sit in my closet. That will be what happens until the cons start again. Maybe I can get them to some. I know there's a couple people who said when this campaign's over, they'd like it at their stores. I've been blown away by that. But I'm not going to be able to move many of these books. This is to help a local business. And anything we make over that printing goal is going directly to issue number 2, which I'm proud to say already started production. The script is written. It's in Chuck's hand to give it the go-ahead, because Chuck's also a co-creator. I did something no one ever does. I promoted the editor on the book to a co-creator because I thought he passed the threshold of just being an editor, and he had actually begun to alter the story. He was so involved that the DNA of the story would be permanently compromised, and his DNA would be in it. and it was compromised in the best way ever by a passionate creator who loves what they're doing. Same thing with Raheel. Raheel, you don't build art like this. You don't build art like that and don't get called a co-creator. And he was really excited about working on this, and he's still excited about it, that he's not even charging me what he should charge me. He's that good of an artist, and he's like, I want to be part of this project. And he said it even now. He's like, I know times are tough. What can you afford? How can we make this work? And he understood. He talked to me, and he said, I get it. I see what's going on in America. It's like, but I want to do issue 2. I know you want to do issue number 2. Let's get this done. We came to the what can financially work. So every dollar you guys help me, we get closer. Because I would rather pay most of the book off with what we have left over to get issue number 2 done. So I don't have to come to issue number 2 and be like, hey, guys, I need you to pay for the whole book. I hate that. You know, I invest all the money in the art. So if you guys can get me some extra funds now, we get the books printed, we get it out to everyone. Those extra funds will go directly into it. Like, I'm not even paying myself back. This will go straight to the next book. And what I like about this book, too, is we've given it to libraries. The Jack's book already and CatDad and Supermom have been donated to libraries. I would like to take some of the copies and give it to the Gallisandro Children's Hospital, which is close by in Fort Myers to my house. And I would like to get some kids some books that they can read while they're in a hospital not feeling well. So we're also going to be taking some of the proceeds to actually donate books to kids who could really use them and to give them to people who need to hear about bullying. We might even be donating a few to the local schools. And yes, I'm open to going further out. The more we can make, the more it makes it able for us creators to give this stuff away. Because when we're looking at it, well, you know, if I print 10 books, I have to pay for all 10 books. If you guys help me with the printing thing when I'm done, whatever the books are left over, I can now take those books and go, well, why don't I give these 10 to these people and let them just have it, you know? And that's what I like to do. I like to get this out here because, like Phil said, this is an important message. And I got bullied. I was a small kid. I know it's hard to believe, the big beard now going on. Like, I do not look I did not look like someone who got bullied now. And everyone says that to me. And I said, yeah, because I got bullied. I went to the gym. I worked out a lot, so I'd never get bullied again. But no, Phil knows this about me. I don't like bullies, and I don't like people who step on other people's toes. I get very mad about that to this date because it's okay to disagree with me. It's another thing when you start trying to be rude or rude to anyone else is even worse. If you're being rude to someone in front of me, I'm one of those person who will step up and say something because we all got to be better about each other. I had a golden rule taught to me, and I'll never forget it. Treat people how you want to be treated, not how you think you should be able to treat them. And if you do that, unless you're really like, you know, a troubled person who thinks they should not be loved, and if you do feel that way, you're wrong. Every person on this planet deserves to be loved. Even serial killers deserve to be loved just from behind glass in a sealed box.
That's the safest way to do it, yes.
Yeah,
now,
watch them.
We're going to go full circle back to whenever I started, and I asked you, do I work for you? There's a reason that I asked that question at the very beginning, and you said no. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this now. There are a lot of people that ask, how do you choose who you actually have on as a guest? How do you choose who you go ahead and bring on here? What's going on with that? You know, is there something going on maybe that we don't know about? Some, you know, along those lines. I always choose based on certain elements that stick out to me. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know, because Rob hasn't even heard this part of it yet. We keep a lot of this unscripted on my show, and I like doing this because it needs to seem more natural and more from the heart on what we're talking about. It can't be anything that's ingenuine that I want on the show. It's just not an option. So that being said, there were two things that stood out to me about Rob that I had to have him on the show and talk about this. Number one, I was actually in the audience whenever he was doing one of his panels on one of his shows, and Jax had come in there and he was really starting to bang around on one of your banners behind you, and you made the same comment like you just did a little while ago. You're like, well, you know, it's just like we're at a regular con, you know, what can you do? It's the exact same thing. And you could tell that the parent in you was the priority at that point. It was like, I don't care what's going on in the panel right now. This is my son. I'm not going to tell him he has to go somewhere else and do whatever else and type thing. That, you know, that's the whole reason that you're here, is because of him. So that meant a lot to me. So that's one. The second one is, just recently, Rob had put a post out and he said, on the Advocate show, whenever you help out as many people as you can and everything, and you actually need help, how do you ask? And if you recall, I put a very long paragraph on there, but at the end of it, I said, you just did. So as far as I'm concerned, when you show that much passion, when you show that much energy, when you show that much that you're putting into your work, that's enough for me to get involved. So anyone that's watching this or will be watching this, if you don't see passion and excitement and, genuine, putting 210% into this, that's definitely what Rob is doing with this. So I just want to say thank you from my end for showing that, not only showing just to show, but showing. I mean, actually showing. And you show that on your show and other things that you do with that. So I definitely appreciate that from my end. And everyone else who is involved, if you have not been on there, you need to jump on there. So
Hey,
I just want to say that's what it is for me.
I appreciate that. I really do. And it's funny because if you remember, you wrote that paragraph and you had said something like, oh, let me help you advocate. And I thought you were asking me. And I was like, well, how can I help you? Like, I didn't even think about it. I was like, well, Phil, Uncle Rob will come help you. He'll get, you were like, no, idiot, I'm talking about you.
Exactly.
I'm going to help you. And I was like, how does that work? Like, it's so foreign to me. Like, why me? Isn't there someone better out there? But yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I'm sure Phil knows this growing up as a guy. We're a little older than the younger kids watching who don't understand a beeper. We were raised to be tough. You guys are talking about toxic masculinity and being able to wear nail polish. We got bullied for everything. We got bullied for haircuts. I had my ass kicked one time just because I had a bad haircut. I mean, it was that kind of, and we were told we would get home, complain, just why don't you hit him back? Because you said if I hit him back and they go to the hospital, we'll go be homeless. Damn right we will be. Why are you hitting kids? Like, we grew up in that generation that made no sense. Defend yourself, but not if it's going to cost us money, because this was the time of lawsuits now. So it was crazy. I grew up not understanding that people will want to help you and even how to ask. As silly as that sounds, I'm so self-reliant most times that it's foreign. It's like, how do I say this without coming off needy? Because it's not that I need anyone. Like, if that's your last dollar, please keep it. I don't need it that way. I just believe, like, in my bones, in my core, in my DNA, I know this story matters. I've had kids crying at my table and they wanted to hug me. And, of course, I looked at the parent and made sure the parent was okay with it, because you don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. But there were this little amazing young woman crying because she saw that she wasn't alone and she had this connective tissue. And I'll tell you the funny story about the elephant now, and everyone will like this, because she really liked the elephant. She really liked the fact that the elephant can take the farts and make them like a Green Lantern ring and make the shapes. So she was really entertained, but she was more touched by the fact that there's a moment in the book that's very powerful that one of the heroes does. And it makes that elephant realize something. And that elephant all comes from doing a show like this. And a show like this where I taunt the audience sometimes, and I have I put on my underground devil persona and kind of pick things. So one day I was just on and I flippantly said, there's no such thing as writer's block. You're just lazy. You're too busy playing video games. You're too busy out there watching TV. Of course you got writer's block. It's not writer's block. It's writer's want, because you want to do something else. I was like, I could create anything, anytime, like real arrogant boasting, right? And of course, volume turned a little bit up because I was kind of taunting, and Chuck was on it, and we were kind of playing around, me and Chuck. It was one of the first times you could do two people on a video that I had realized. So Chuck's hanging out with me. He's a little box at this point. This is back when technology, so he's a box up here, and he's just shaking his head while I'm talking. And he's like, all right, so next person comes up. Oh, yeah, you can write any story. I was like, hell yeah, nothing scares me. They're like, make a story about an elephant. It's like, okay, cool. Elephant. There'll be a story about an elephant. So, like, the people in the chat room weren't happy. So one person steps up and goes, oh, it's so easy to make the elephant fart. I give you Elefart, a real character that won an award, all because someone said, I bet you can't. So that's probably the wrong message to teach kids, but it's the truth. I did it. I created a farting elephant, and you're all going to love it, because so far people are like, wow, that's amazing. And my favorite part of the book, did you catch it? The when Elefart makes the train, and the train spells words, and it proves that words can hurt you. Because I always hated that growing up. Like, well, words won't hurt you. And I'm like, haven't wars started over words? Like, even as a kid, I'm like, I just learned about a war today. And apparently there's something about Chinese whispers. Doesn't that mean it was words that caused it?
Exactly.
But now
Exactly.
I have changed it all. Yes, kids, words hurt. And it's true. And it really is, because we don't talk about abuse enough. Because if we think about it, even asking for help is hard. But like going back full circle to that show, You're Not Alone, a lot of people need help. Every night they go to bed and they're depressed. They're worried about how they're gonna succeed in life. Life ain't this life, especially now with social media. It's hard. Everyone's trying to act like they're okay. I can tell you, there's a lot of creators. I spend a lot of my day, and Phil knows this. I reach out to creators. I ask how they're doing. I hear what's going on. I check on them. I wish them happy birthdays. Especially right now, you gotta take that extra step. This is a time where people are feeling it, and they need that compassion. They need that humanity more than ever. So if you can do that, go out and do that. Be someone's hero. It doesn't take a lot to be a hero. It just takes doing the right thing at the right moment and being genuine about it. And that's why, I do the You're Not Alone. It's why I do the comic book advocate thing, because I can make a difference, and so can all of you. The reason I don't like the indie advocate is because it was about one group. Comic book advocates about just comic books and the love of comic books. And the great thing is you can all be a comic book advocate. This isn't just something for me. This is something for us all. Go out there, and it doesn't have to be about CatDad Supermom. It can be about Phil's upcoming book when finally Phil writes the book and gets it done and stops talking about it. We could all have a review of his book, and you can do that. It could be about sharing a show like this that helps create promoters. It could be the Fire Bitch, which I still think would have been better if there was a dog on the show. I was so disappointed when Fire Bitch was a human being. I was expecting a dog on fire. I was let down. But if you guys can do that, if you can find a way to turn that energy into something positive to inspire someone, because that's really all we're doing. That's what Phil's trying to do with these shows right now. He wants to inspire you, whether it be to join a fandom or to be a person who shares something with another person that makes them feel better about life. I can't tell you how much comics have saved me, especially when I was younger, because I could escape into a world. And to this date, seeing what some of these independent creators come up with, some of these ideas that I get to showcase on our show, Kickstarter Pause, it's amazing. It's amazing how the human spirit has not even been at all the only thing that's happened to the human spirit over those last couple of months is it misses the interaction with other people. Creativity is still where it's always been. People are starting to chill and relax and realizing maybe we should be better to each other. And you're seeing it, because now there are people who are just acting like real a-holes, and other people are like, what's up with that one? Why is he acting like that? People are finally getting it, because we're at this time where we all need to support each other more than ever. Because the one thing we always took for granted, it's been taken from us. And we realize that we can't hug anyone. We can't just randomly go up and give someone we care about a hug. I saw a friend I hadn't seen in over a month. And I know you're not supposed to, but I was so happy to see my friend. I just hugged him. I genuinely just went up, gave him a big bear hug. And I was like, sorry. And he was like, no, you're good. And it was just that missing of that interaction. And, it didn't hurt that he's cute. So, but no, it was missing that. And, and being able to tell this story that is beautiful. And I know it's beautiful. And it was one of those things. This is our third time on Kickstarter with this particular book. And we failed the first two times, because I didn't do it my way. I listened to other people. I hid who I was. And this time I promised myself I was just going to show who I am. There's going to be no persona. The Underground Devil, that's really a part of who I am, but it's that part of me turned up. It's that sarcasm. It's that smart ass. That's all the way the volume up. But there is, and people have said it, and the people who know me the best were like, I can't believe you showed everyone in public who you really are. And they're like, that's a person. Like the video I did, a lot of my friends, when I got it tested first, were like, wow, that was like, I didn't know you had that gear to be that vulnerable. Yeah. And it wasn't an act. And a lot of people said, you can tell you're not acting. You just were honest and like really painfully honest in a way that was inspiring. And I was like, honestly, I dropped the bullshit. I dropped it all, and I just got down to the point. And I thought about how much I love my son, and I thought about how much this can help someone who feels bullied. And I remembered the moments of me feeling bullied in my life and feeling so alone. And I realized that this book needs to get a wider berth and a wider audience. And I was like, I have to not sell this. It's bigger than selling it. I have to make people believe. And if I can make people believe, then maybe we can make the world a better place, one step at a time, one story at a time. I mean, you think about it, the X-Men changed the world. If we really go back to it, Stan Lee's X-Men. So there is that possibility. Will CatDad and Supermom change the world? It's a little lofty. It's a little heavy. I don't know if I get to say that, but I can tell you what it could do is it could make one child's world better. And I know it's already done that for a couple children. So if I can keep getting it out there and I can keep getting kids to read it, then you know what? I know I can make some kids' lives better and give them an escape and make them realize that there are adults that look like me, big and scary, that understand how it was to be bullied. And I survived, and I made it to this other end, and I'm here, and so can they. They can get to this side with me, and they can understand it. And oh my God, I would love to inspire a child to become a comic book creator. That would be so awesome to hear 30 years from now. I read this comic book, CatDad and Supermom, and I knew that was the moment I wanted to be a comic book creator, the same way I talk about X-Men. So that's my rant.
No, and that is great. And I just want to go ahead and touch on one of the things you said on there about the video, because for those of you that don't know, he also does a thing on there called Kickstarter Pause, which Kickstarter Pause is basically we get the Kickstarters, we roll through, scroll through, find a video on there, and we go ahead and on the panel, we would watch the video. If we get to a point where something, we just want to bring up constructive criticism, not critical, but constructive. But it just needs to get to a point where it's like, okay, look, I've got to stop the video because I need this in here. I need to be seeing this. I need to be seeing that. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because whenever Rob put his video on here and had it up there, of course, I watched it because, you know, I used to be on the panel, so why not go ahead and watch it? And I did. And I'm telling you right now, Rob, I did not pause. So that was an amazing video because you started off, it was hilarious because you started off with the same things that you absolutely hate in your Kickstarter Pause videos, the worst things that you cannot stand. And I was watching it thinking, there's no way he's going to go through this the whole way. And sure enough, you stopped and you said, and that's enough of that before we go into this. And you just went into real mode. And I'm talking about straight up, no barriers, no walls, no nothing. It was just you. And to be able to see that on there was amazing because, again, 210% of what you've got into here, you can tell it is definitely in there. So I want to commend you on that, and I did not pause.
That's the biggest compliment. And you know what? That compliment's gone on a lot. I saw 72% not pausing on that video. I was blown away. I was like, 72% of people who have hit this button have not paused it. The biggest number I ever had before that was 62%. So people, and I've had people reach out to me, and some have said, look, I'm really sorry. I don't have a lot of money right now. I would back the book. And I've told them, don't you worry about it. You know, just you telling me that matters. And they're like, well, I shared it and I gave $1. And between me and you, I kept their names on the side and they're getting the bigger package, the bigger PDF package. And if I ever run into them in real life, I will hand them a book because at that point, they don't realize how much that matters to me. The fact that they were so inspired and they came to me humbly, like they had to apologize. How ridiculous is that? No one has to apologize for not having money right now. It's not their fault. The world is upside down right now. It's not your fault. You're going to get through this. I know you are. Just relax. Don't worry about it. $1 if you can get in. If you can't, like Phil said, a share is golden. A share is definitely worth all the money in the world. And, you know, if you guys want to read the Jack's book, you know, and you don't have any money, I'll give you the Jack's book for free. Just for actually sharing it. I'm a big fan of just give people something because people who showing that they care by sharing, because I mean, that's on your feed. Now you have to be associated with me. That deserves something, right?
Well, I mean, it was just a matter of time before the devil and demon got on here in the same show, you know, with this kind of thing. So
and it's
now I just want to address
and it's
what's that?
Talking about feelings and not making fun of someone. It feels off.
Exactly. But hey, you got to be different. You know, I can be anybody I want to be. I just want to be myself. You can be yourself, and we can have some fun on here. And if it goes into more darker territory on there, I'm going to have another show that's starting up on Saturdays. Then we can go into that.
I'm down for that. That is.
I will definitely let you know. Yes. Let's go ahead and address the comments real quick because we had a few of them that come up here. So I've got Dina Brown came in here. Thank you, Dina, for coming in here. Actually, I'm sorry, Nina, because I call her Nina because she loves being called that because I mispronounced her name one time and it's just stuck. That is amazing. It's a depressed world we're living in right now. And yes, that is absolutely true because whenever we were talking about, you know, how we were giving hope and you said you were giving hope on your end and that you see that I'm doing that on my end. And it's just something that we have to do because of things that are going on. Now, bringing that up, does that mean we have to actually change what we're doing whenever everything goes back to whatever it's going to go back to out there? On my end, I'm going to tell you right now, absolutely not. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. I'm not going to stop giving hope because this has shown me that I can be a better human and there are better ways of making people understand they can be better human beings out of this.
Absolutely. I might be on late. That's the difference. I might not be on every day.
I'm about to have to get to a shorter schedule just because I'm about killing myself on this, but I have never enjoyed my job more than anything that I'm doing right now. So Russell Allen come in here and said, "What's up, guys? Saturday night pantsless." Rob is not aware of pantsless. That will be.
I'm sorry. I feel awkward now. But they're Batman. That's cool, right?
Rob is not aware of what pantsless is as of yet, Russell, and we have an unveiling, and I hate calling it that every time, but yeah, we have an unveiling that's going to be coming up. It is in the works, probably within the next month, so be keeping your eyes open for that. Greg Harms comes in here and said, "Hey all, Greg, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, buddy." So we've been talking to Rob for a little while now about his Kickstarter that's going on. I'm going to go ahead and put that back up on the screen so that we have that on here, which is CatDad and Supermom, which is a book about, in a nutshell, it's about bullying, but it has a lot stronger message than just bullying. So you really have to, whenever you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is definitely worth it. If you can, get on there, support any way you can. If you can support just by a share, we are more than happy with that. If you can support with $1, we are happy with that. The $2, whatever tier you want to go with, there is nothing that anybody's going to say, that's all you could do. Nobody's going to go with that. That's not an option here.
My neighbors are throwing. I don't know what you're doing, Greg, but I might want to be invited. Your neighbors have to get the privacy fence. You're playing right. You're really partying. Or is it your neighbors I got to hang out with? Just tell me, Greg. Just tell me.
It's one side of the fence or the other.
One side of the fence. Just put it that way.
And he said pantsless, so he's right along with it too. Yeah, what I'm about to start is probably going to start a whole new revolution, and yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I'm all for not wearing pants, especially if you're a woman. You know what? I've always been for free the nipple. I'm just saying, putting it out there. I'm fine with that. Absolutely, women, get naked. I support you 100% to be naked.
And here is the devil.
You can't keep him out. He's going to pop out eventually.
Yeah, we couldn't keep it quiet for the entire thing. I mean, I was doing pretty good for the entire time without having the demon and the devil just running wild on here.
Someone brought a pant. It's not my fault. They invited it. They asked. I'm just obliging the commenters. I'm here for you commenters.
If you have not gone to his shows, you need to go to Comics Advocate. We will have the links and everything on here as well. Whenever we're done, we'll put them in the comments. And yeah, you've got to go over and see the shows. Got a variation of all kinds of commentary in there. I mean, we're talking about panels on every subject. I've seen stuff that's not even exactly comic centric. So there's been other things that have been involved in there too, which has been great.
Yeah, and we're constantly coming up with new ideas. And if you guys want to be part of it, if you're a creator, you want to ask a question, come ask a question. You want to be part of it as a creator, come sit down. I mean, just this week coming up, we're going to have the logistics of conning around the world. How do you actually afford to go from Comic-Con to Comic-Con? We're going to have Kickstarter interest. How do you get Kickstarter interest? Kind of what we're talking about. How do you actually get someone who's never met you interested in something you just created? And how do you convince them it's coming and your name's not someone who doesn't deliver? Because there's some people like that. How do you get them to believe in you? Because a lot of times that's what this is. It's about believing. We're going to be doing a panel that's going to be co-hosted by Meredith, who it's going to be noobs. Well, all questions newbie creators can ask us. No matter how dumb you think they are, trust me, I've asked it or thought about it. So there's no reason to feel ashamed, and we're going to give you some answers. And we're going to have Whatever Happened to Indie Advocates, where we explain why we changed our name from Indie Advocates and why I gave up the Indie Advocate moniker and I embrace the comic book advocate.
That all sounds great, and especially the Kickstarter interest. I may be interested in that one, so we may have to talk on that one.
You're more than welcome.
I certainly appreciate it. Well, I mean, you've actually, I will let everyone know that does not know, Rob kind of gave me a chance to go onto there just simply because I'm not an artist. I can't draw a stick figure that looks, somewhat decent to save my life. Writing, he's gotten on to me once, and I know he'll continue to do so, because I did mention at one point that I would like to look to get back in my writing. So people are starting to get on to me about that, and I do appreciate it, actually, because it is pushing me into that way. I've just got to get onto more of a set schedule with all of the interviews and the reviews and all. We'll get there. But he's bringing me on as a fan, with a fan's point of view, because I'm hoping that he actually sees that I have some validity to what I'm talking about on there, because he keeps asking me back. So well, obviously he's seeing something.
The first time we invited you was because fans matter to me. More than I think most creators, I respect fans like you wouldn't believe. I talk to fans at shows just to talk to them and not sell my book. I've literally had someone look at me and go, "Are you going to tell me about your books?" And I was like, "Oh, you want to hear about them?" I was like, honestly, I was just talking to you. He's like, "I know, but I want to know about your books now." That's just the type of guy I am. I ask people all different questions, and I love that energy. And you have an energy. There's something about you that's inquisitive, that's intelligent, and you want to have a conversation. And I enjoy someone being around that's that way. It's easier to have a conversation than the people who the biggest problem I have with people are the people who are pompous, and you are not pompous. You are
no.
You give an opinion. I mean, I have friends who give long-winded Kevin Smith answers, and I'll take them any day over a pompous person. And speaking of taking people, do you mind if I read some comments from my watch party? I just want to acknowledge.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Sarah had said, and these are all from Sarah, so it'll be easy. I'll just read them all together. But this is the entire thing, so there are a couple. She says, "Hi there. I love the fetish comics, and that's thanks to Andersin Rob." That's me. Brian K. Morris definitely keeps every day great, as well as all the on-con on screen with Andersin Rob. There has been so much insight inside and entertainment. I count on these things. So there we go, Sarah counting on the daily program. The diversity in writing is spectacular. It shows a writer who isn't just stuck in a genre. That's impressive, and I believe that's due to the fact that I write whatever I want, whenever I want. As long as I'm motivated. If I've turned down projects because I've been like, nope, I just have no interest in that. If you tell me to write a story about, like zombies or like World of Warcraft, zombies maybe, but World of Warcraft, I'm going to be like, thanks, hard pass. I don't care about that stuff. That's just not me. But you tell me to write a book about a farting elephant, oh baby, I'm the only. And then Sarah finishes with, topics with the panels are awesome. There's one silver lining. That's the one silver lining of the quarantine. And what people don't understand, and Phil knows this, before we go on, I'm like, unless it's a project like when you're talking about how to get someone to be interested in a Kickstarter, we have to talk about the quarantine because we want them to have that information. But 90% of our panels are meant to film today, watch in a year from now, watch in 6 months. We want to give content that can be not only recycled, but be relevant. So if we spend a 90-minute panel talking about a quarantine, that there's hopefully a cure coming. We're all knocking on wood that these new treatments are really... we're all hoping that there's a real cure in the works, and we really hope that we're going to get a vaccine and this is all going to be gone. So imagine 6 months from now going back and watching a show that just talked about us being afraid of this virus that we beat. Come on. It's like when we talk about the Spanish flu. Come on, guys. We got over it. It's fine now. And that's how humans are. I mean, if we really looked at all that crazy stuff that happens to us in our lives, we'd be stuck under our bed. There's just something about us that goes, how could it get worse today? We're challenging the world. But that's the human spirit, and that's the beauty of humans. We get back up. We rise back up, and we go back out. And we do it for love. We do it for the love of our children. We do it for the love of another person. We do it because we love comic books. There's always something like love driving us. And again, the serial killers do it because they love killing people. But again, if we keep them in glass boxes, they're okay. And that's basically it. Thank you, Sarah, for all the cool comments. And she's a great commenter.
Yes.
I love having her in there.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Like I said, I don't see all that over here, so I appreciate you bringing that up. And anyone else who's watching the watch party, thank you for being here and watching this and absorbing all the information. And hopefully we're able to not only share this out via the share button, but talk to other people. I mean, get on there and spread the communication about all this. I will say, and like a couple of last things here. Number one, I know that one of your catchphrases / t-shirt is free spanks and hugs. I will say that eventually we're going to get you up here to Jersey, or at least in somewhere up in the area. There you go. And I'm definitely going to get a hug, brother. We can hold off on the spanks, but the hug, definitely.
That's okay. I have a sticker for that too now.
That is great.
You got to think of it all. And definitely, it would be really cool. And Sarah said, "You're welcome."
Excellent. Well, before we go ahead and shut it down, I want to go ahead and get any last audible shout-outs that you want to do over on your end, where we can find you, who else you want to shout out about, anything like that. And then we'll have those links put into the comments whenever we're done.
Well, of course, Brian K. Morris every morning at 10 a.m. as long as this quarantine goes on. When the quarantine's finally over, mark your calendars. It's Monday and Thursdays at 10 a.m. You can see amazing people like Phil on this channel right here. Are you getting a YouTube together, Phil?
I have it on YouTube as well. It's on YouTube as well.
So subscribe. Why haven't you guys subscribed to Phil's YouTube? Do it. Just subscribe. If you get him 100 views, he can do a cool vanity URL. So definitely.
I am almost 500 followers now. So, or actually, we're just over 500 now. Just over. Actually, we beat 500.
No, it's from this guy. This guy's doing it better than I am when it comes to YouTube. So apparently, I'm going to be asking him some questions as soon as this goes on. You can find my book, CatDad Supermom. All I ask is that you watch the video. If I can't win you over with that video, truthfully, I don't deserve it. I don't. So you watch that video, you think I'm crap, you think it's disgusting, I don't want to bother you again, because that's the best I am right there in that video. If that isn't good enough for you, it never will be. So check that out. You can keep up with the tales of the devil at MrAndersin.com. Please check out Comic Book Advocates. Comic Book Advocates is not just about me. It's about every comic book creator that we feature, every comic book story that we feature, and it'll even feature things that Phil come up with if he ever asks me to put a video on the site, because I know I'm putting this one on the site because it has, he had to sit through this with me, so at least I can do is try to pay it back by actually getting some more views. But seriously, go to that site, subscribe to it, and right now we're not spending a lot of time on our site, and it sounds reverse, right? Because everyone's pushing their own stuff. I know you guys are on Facebook. I know that you're staying near your friends, you're commenting, you want to feel that unity thing. So we've put a lot more of our content in something called the OnCon. That's ONCONN, and it's experience, and it's spelt wrong. I know it's spelt wrong. I am dyslexic. I didn't catch it, and the spell check has been acting wonky on Facebook. Thank you, Facebook. So it didn't catch it. So yes, in 20 days when I get to change the name, I'll fix experience. But for now, just do OnCon, and I promise you'll find it. But there's a lot in there. I put Phil's stuff in there. I put anything that I think has a value to you as fans on there. And, we'll continue to do that. And one last thing that you could also check out is the Comics News Wire. We just changed the name with all the rebranding. That has everything coming from our site. So anything directly coming from our site goes directly there on social media. So it's a quick way for you to share things. And Meredith showed up, who's going to have a brand.
I just saw that, yes.
And Meredith's actually the newest addition. She's actually in the Comic Book Advocates Noob, who's going to go around exploring the world as a creator, as someone who's new, and asking questions and interviewing people. It's going to be interesting because a lot of times when we're interviewing, we're kind of interviewing from a place of knowledge. She's going to be interviewing from a place of, hey, can I ask you a question? I think it's going to be a fantastic series. I look forward to tuning in. And this Friday, we're actually going to have a panel at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's every day this week. There'll be a panel. But specifically on 4 Eastern, that's where we're going to have the panel with the noobs that we were talking about. It's not even a 101 class. It's a 001 class. That's how noob it is. We're going to answer any question that you guys have, no matter how silly it is, even including How do I pick a screen name? Some people really want to know that. Like, do I use a non-do plume? We'll go over all that stuff. Anything you want, we'll answer it. And that's how you can follow me. I please hope you were at least entertained today. And I hope everyone's doing well. Make sure to wash your hands and just, be a good person to everyone around you. Because right now, people need that support. Do that and show love. And if someone pisses you off on Facebook, just ignore them. Go outside. Go do something else. It's not worth the silly fight. Stay positive, and we'll all rise up past this.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for agreeing to be on here, Rob. I certainly appreciate having you on here. Hopefully I can get you back on as a guest again. It doesn't necessarily have to be just whenever you have a project going. Maybe we can do this semi-regular basis or something, just kind of touch base.
I'm fine with that. I love to talk, so it's all good. Just give me a topic, and I'm like an old woman. I'll talk about it. I actually grew up, seriously, around old women who called themselves yentas, and it was the best time of my life. Like, I had real-life Golden Girls every night of my life, and I got to hear about them talk about their stories and their life thing. And even as a younger kid, I appreciated the stories that older generation could tell. So now I'm that old generation, so I've got plenty of stories to tell you young people. Just call me the Golden Man.
Well, thank you very much for being here, Rob, and we definitely look forward to the next time. And before you go, one last time, guys, get on this Kickstarter. I'm telling you right now, go check it out. Like you said, watch the video, make your own decisions from there, but watch that video because that's gonna go ahead and make your decision. All right, thank you much, Rob. All right, so we had Rob Andersin on here. We had the demon and the devil together, and we didn't burn the place down, which is kind of interesting and a little terrifying. So I don't know what's going to happen the next time, but hey, we'll save that. I always have a closing statement. This is not going to be any different. So for everyone that's staying here, I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I never have it scripted. I'm just going to let you know right now. I write down things, for questions that I'm going to do to kind of go based off of, but I never, ever write down my closing statement because I always want it to be something that I've learned throughout the interview that's been going on. So the biggest point that I want to bring up on this is how much have you helped somebody here lately? There's a lot of things going on. The current situation and everything that's going on outdoors. How much have you helped somebody? Now, I'm not saying how much have you helped, like, have you given $100 check to, Mrs. Jones down the road just because you want to help somebody? I'm talking about help. I'm talking about, have you reached out to somebody? Have you gone ahead and checked on somebody? Have you looked at somebody's video? Have you shared something? Have you liked something? It's the small things that actually add up. The more that we change those traits within ourselves, the more I'm hoping it's going to be a ripple effect whenever all the smoke clears outside. So how much have you helped somebody? Well, let's go ahead and start with this. You've seen the link on there. Go to it. The link is actually inside the description as well. And then as soon as this is over with, we're going to be hitting the comments with the rest of the places you can find Mr. Andersin and everything he was talking about on there. Let's go help somebody. We can change the world one finger at a time. Demon Phil, Comics in More, New Jersey.